Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today we're doing the what's next on light heavyweight contender Dan Azeez following his 12-round unanimous decision loss to Joshua Buatsi as he suffered the first loss of his career in early February as he fought in a final eliminator against Buatsi. Now, before we get into that, if you could smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel, I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get as I continue to build my channel here. You know, Azeez fought hard, and because that 10th position's kind of wide open, he's kind of floating around the top 10, so I'm just calling him, you know, as a top 10 guy right now. And following the loss now, what's next for Dan Azeez? Well, you know, obviously he's not highly ranked anymore in the governing bodies. He's still number 2 technically in the WBA, but I don't believe they've updated their rankings, so he should be dropping there. Other than that, his highest ranking is number 6 by the WBC. You know, and then I think he's number 11 in the IBF, number 8 in the WBO. So he's gonna have his work cut out for him. But let's run through the top 10 and see what could be possible for him next following that loss to Buatsi. First, you got Dimitri Bivol, the current undefeated WBA light heavyweight champion of the world. He's fighting, not going to happen. He's fighting Beterbiev next for the undisputed title, and yeah, that's just not going to be a possibility. Then there's unified light heavyweight champ, undefeated Artur Beterbiev. Beterbiev, that's not going to happen. He's fighting Bivol next, and then the winner's likely going to fight somebody like Canelo or Buatsi. Then there's Callum Smith. I wouldn't mind this one if Callum Smith wanted to come back and get back in the mix right away, or if, you know, or Dan Azeez did. They're both coming off of losses. It's an all-UK battle. Why not? I don't think, though, that Callum Smith would want to come back and go into a straight contenders bout. You know, I really think Callum Smith is considering retirement. I could see him moving up to cruiserweight. But if he does come back and take light heavyweight serious, I don't know if he wants to come back right away against Dan Azeez. I mean, like I said, it could happen because it's an all-UK battle, so it would be intriguing, and Callum Smith probably the favorite going in. But he might. I just don't think he's there, at least not yet. So I'm gonna favor the no on this one. Then there's Anthony Yarde. Now this one is interesting. Why not Anthony Yarde? Dan Azeez wants to get right back in the mix. Obviously, he can't get a rematch with Buatsi. Why not have an all-UK battle with Anthony Yarde, the former 2-time world title challenger? Anthony Yarde's knocking on the door. He's going to want to get a decent opponent this year, and an all-UK battle makes sense. So Yarde and Azeez, I do think, is possible. Then there's Alexander Vucic. Another one. I say if Dan Azeez really is serious about getting back in the mix, why not fight a former champ in Vucic? Yes, it's a risk. Yes, he's a threat. But Azeez is going to need to do that if he wants to climb back into the mix, because he might be on the outside looking in if we declare an undisputed champ and titles start going vacant. So I think now's the time to strike to get right back in the mix, because I think Dan Azeez is like 33, 34 anyways. So it's not like he's got a lot of time. And Vucic is another guy knocking on the door that is going to want to fight a top 10 guy anyways, or a decent light heavyweight with a name to make his case to move in line for a title shot in 2025. So we'll see. I think this fight makes a lot of sense, though. Then there's Richard Rivera, who, you know, has made his bones in his last 2 or 3 fights at light heavyweight now, and wants to make an impression. Another fight that I think would make a lot of sense for Dan Azeez to consider, you know, because Rivera's trying to put himself in position for a title shot, and Dan Azeez wants to get back in the mix, so go after a legitimate guy like this. I think it makes a lot of sense. Michael Eifert, kind of the same thing. Michael Eifert was the mandatory #1 contender for the IBF, and now he's dropped out of it. So if Eifert decides to come back, why not go after him? Then there's Jean Pascal, the former 2-time champ. I think that's a money fight right there for Azeez. He can make decent money. He could take on a former 2-time champ and gain some credibility back and get right back into the mix. So I'm hoping that that is a possibility. And then there's Vasily Wojciechowski, another fight that I think Dan Azeez should consider. So Dan Azeez, in my opinion, if any of these other guys would be interested in fighting him that are in the top 10, I think it makes a ton of sense for him to consider all these fights. You know, I think Dan Azeez should not wait around and bullshit, you know, and go after tuna opponents. I don't think that makes sense. He's an older, you know, he's kind of an older light heavyweight at 34, and I think he should strike while the iron's hot. I think the best matchup for him, though, that would gain him the most would be Anthony Yarde or Alexander Usyk. But Anthony Yarde makes a lot of sense because it's another all-UK battle. So the UK fans will definitely pay attention to that. Plus, Anthony Yarde put up the toughest test for Beterbiev recently. You know, Alexander Usyk, yes, is a former champ, but his best performance was years ago when he lost the title to Beterbiev. Anthony Yarde's was just back in 2023. So Anthony Yarde and him makes a ton of sense, and I think that's the fight that Azeez should push for. So that's it. That's what I got. That's my what's next on light heavyweight contender Dan Azeez following his first pro loss in his final eliminator against Joshua Buatsi in early February. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.